Even aside from the war in Ukraine, a demographic crisis and climate change threaten Russia's future. In the short to medium term, Russia is fairly screwed. But in the long term, Russia is really screwed. We all know that the Russian economy is in dire straits as it faces unprecedented sanctions from the West, and that countries pulling out of the Russian market now are unlikely to return for a long, long time. The ruble is now almost worthless outside the country, interest rates jump to 20%, and inflation in Russia could rise to a jaw-dropping 20 to 30%. Even the longer-term outlook for Russian oil production is darkening. The Russian military is performing badly, has lost its fearsome reputation, and will need a major expenditure to replace all its lost tanks and transport trucks in addition to its expended precision-guided missiles, artillery, and other weapons. But the Russian invasion is exposing other weaknesses that Moscow would rather the world didn't notice. Douglas London, a former CIA operations officer, writes in the Wall Street Journal that the outlook for recruiting Russian spies has rarely looked better. Some of the CIA's best agents have been volunteers who finally are pushed over the edge by a life-altering event and offer their services to an intelligence service. Tolkachev, Polyakov and Kuklinski were volunteers. Thanks to Mr. Putin's deplorable behavior, I expect an increase in Russian volunteers who have toyed with the idea of doing something to better Russia's future and might now be receptive to an encouraging nudge. The FBI is sending Russian-language recruitment ads to cell phones in and around the Russian embassy that read, "If you have information that could help the FBI, please contact us." But it is in the long term, say, a generation from now, that Russia is screwed, really, really screwed. Russia's population dropped by 1 million people in 2021, a stunning figure that reflects a team-up of an aging population, a low birth rate. The number of births per woman stands at around 1.5, well short of the minimum of 2.1 necessary to renew the population, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Many outside observers have accused the Russian government of trying to downplay the severity of the pandemic by classifying COVID-19 deaths as pneumonia deaths. But no matter how Moscow wants to qualify it, a lot of Russians died last year. A short-lived bump in the birth rate in the middle of the last decade ended, too. The result, 1.94 million children were born in Russia in 2015 but only 1.44 million in 2020. If you have 1.94 million Russian children born in 2015, that means you're going to have about 1.94 million Russian 18-year-olds in 2033. If you have only 1.44 million Russian children born in 2020, you're only going to have about 1.44 million Russian 18-year-olds in 2038. None of these problems will be helped by the ongoing exodus of Russians who can emigrate. More than 200,000 Russians have reportedly crossed borders since the start of the invasion. Dissidents, elites, critics of Putin, anyone who prefers the West or fears what is coming is looking for any opportunity to get out. And while we don't know exactly how many Russian soldiers have been killed in Ukraine, estimates range from 7,000 to 15,000, it's a lot for 1 month of fighting. Most of those 7,000 to 15,000 killed were young men who will not be returning home and starting families. In addition to not great life expectancy, Russia also has distressingly high rates of alcohol-related deaths, drug addiction, deadly accidents, violence, and suicides. According to official data, 15,000 people per year die because of low-quality alcohol. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Low-quality alcohol also creates and worsens many diseases that lead to people dying early. While drinking substandard alcohol is a long-standing Russian tradition, drug use is a relatively new trend. Currently, 13 million people in the country occasionally use psychoactive substances, and 5 million do so regularly. Most drug users are between the ages of 16 and 30. This data only includes people who have committed crimes or who are registered with state medical institutions. People who are treated in private rehabilitation centers, or those who have not been treated, are not counted in the statistics. Neither are those who use substances not included in the official state list of narcotics. Russia's high mortality rate also results from external causes like traffic accidents, violence, industrial injuries and suicides. In 2020, there were 140,000 such deaths. The collapse of foreign investment, high inflation and interest rates, severe economic recession with lingering drags on growth, a shrinking population, greater strain on healthcare systems, a declining demand for its exports, worsening environmental crises. On a variety of fronts, the Russia of 2030 is likely to be weaker than the Russia of today, and the Russia of 2040 weaker still. From this light, Vladimir Putin's seemingly senseless decision to invade Ukraine makes a bit more sense, as perhaps he saw a window of opportunity slowly closing.